What's going on, everybody? This is Token Gaijin here with your scrub play of the day. I know it's been a long time since we've actually brought you scrub plays, but that's because we've been working on the website, and I actually have a treat for you. I've been double casting with Stash Burnside, but today I've got Deathwraith.
What's up, guys?
And we're going to be bringing you a ZP match versus a Bolko, the Protoss, and Acid Rave, the Terran. And so, starting things off, looking at my build, since we got to kind of move quickly to my build, I'm playing things a little bit more on the aggressive side. Usually when we play with Zerg and Protoss together, me and Brian, we generally like to get some early aggression out, some early map control. So he does the initial scouting with his probe, which you can actually see over here, moving out, and I go for a 10 pull, because after his probe goes in, my Zergling can either go in and get some harassment or get that secondary scout. And moving over here to Deathwraith.
At this point, I see the probe on the way to our base with my scouting probe. We're just making sure that he's not going to do any kind of cheese like that. So you'll see my probe leaving the base to attack his. Generally, in a Terran versus Protoss match, I'm going to go for something along the lines of a 2-gate robo. Focus on Immortals and Colossi.
Right, very good strategy.
Because the Marines and Marauders fall pretty easily to Immortals. That's why you'll see me getting out my Assimilator at this point. And my gateway is a little bit delayed, but generally I'm going for a 2-gate robo, which is actually a 1-gate robo, then drop a gateway right after that.
But we're okay on his little delayed gateway, because as you can see, even though he's coming over here, my pool is almost completely finished. And I'm just right now droning up a little extra. Some people don't drone up after they drop the... they get 13 drones just because they feel like it's unnecessary. I like to do it because I don't go for a full-out cheese rush. I kind of like to be economical on the backside. So I get couple more drones, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to send some Zerglings up front around here. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be able to keep getting a lot of minerals at the same time, get some more overlords out, and the big one is to get that expansion out, because as Zerg, you need to get those expansions. And as you can see, I've got the overlord right here in the middle, kind of scouting things out. If he dies, it's okay. I can rebuild him, but you need to make sure you're scouting, especially on this map, this little choke point. And over to Brian.
At this point, I tried out something that I've seen a lot of Zerg players do, because the Zerglings are so cheap. You do get 2 each time you produce them. You saw my scouting probe go in and do his initial scout. You don't see too much at that time. But then I sent him over here to the Xel'Naga Tower. And when you see my little buddy over there not faring so well against the whole army, he decided to come back and hit up this other Xel'Naga. So essentially I'm going to take both the Xel'Nagas at this point.
Yep. And you want to make sure you get those Xel'Nagas, get some scouting down. Sometimes if you can't get the Xel'Nagas, it's good to get some scouting elsewhere, but since they're uncontested right now, Deathwraith's going to be able to easily swoop in and just take those Xel'Nagas. And as you can see, right at this point, I'm making sure to get my queen to saturate this base. And also, I'm a little low on the drone count right now, but I am getting that expansion out, and I'm getting some Lings out, because after Deathwraith went in there to do some scouting, he's pulling back to get those Xel'Nagas after that initial scouting, and then he can be relieved because I'm going to get some Zerglings in there to take the burden off of him. And as you can see, he's finally getting a lot more pylons, getting his warp gate technology out, and finally dropping that mushy robo. So, moving pretty steadily along, don't you say? Well, let's look at the enemies for a second. So we can see Bolko is doing a very, looks like standard 4-gate or a 3-gate intro. Just got a stalker out. Really not much else going on. He's not really chronoing much of his Cybercore at this point. Did you notice that?
Yeah, he's not going in too much into that. One thing I did notice going into the Terran is early in the match he had 2 barracks down.
Yeah, he's got 4 now.
Didn't have didn't have too much gas, and you can pretty well assume at that point that you're going to see a lot of a big old ball of Marines, which is very common in the multiplayer. Yeah.
So he really doesn't even have that many Marines out right now, but very good call. Especially that scouting really helped us out, because Death is very typical into going into robo builds just to deal with Terran. But that really vindicated what we could do, because we can go from anywhere with the 2-gate robo, and you can explain a little bit about that, what you like to do with that.
Yeah, the Colossi are so very effective against pretty much any ground army. They're best against the small light units like these Marines. Now, I did not at the time know he was expected some Marauders, so you'll see me pumping out my first Immortal here. I knew that they were going to be coming with something of a force when you see just that big old blob of blue right there up in the top.
Yep.
But you'll see as soon as I send up another probe, just to, you know, kind of, you know, basically a kamikaze probe to see what he gets killed by. Sorry, probe. But, so as soon as I send it out, I'm actually very lucky at the time that I send it out, because
yeah,
you'll
he's sending
see
it out right now. He gets a
on,
little blocked right there.
You'll see a little later on here, in about a minute or so, he'll get caught by the enemy army, which is marching towards our base to ruffle some of us.
Dude, you built your expansion right there. I already have mine down, and at this point, I'm getting ready to pump out troops because I did a drone transfer, because trying to get my second base as saturated as possible, get that secondary queen, and make sure I'm getting this much-needed larva out and start getting roaches, because roaches, especially since we knew there was going to be some marine pressure, and just generally is good to have, especially in bulk with a Protoss, because roaches are able to do the tanking in the front, which is exactly my thinking, because if Deathwraith is going for those much-needed colos and stalkers for some anti-air, before I got out those hydras.
See my probe just gets killed, and I'm like, oh, buddy.
Yeah, see, yeah, there he is. Yeah, very good composition.
Roaches have a natural attack range of 4, which means even if you just auto-attack them, they get closer than a stalker or an immortal would.
Right.
And, I get the opportunity to hide behind his wall.
So as you can see, I'm moving my Overlord back into my base. I don't want him to get sniped. Getting out my roaches, I didn't have very much out, but that's the great thing about Zerg is I can pump out as fast. My economy is a little stressed right now trying to get the second base and everything going down, but they don't have an expansion yet, so even though their push might hurt us a little bit, we're going to be in the clear, especially Deathwraith.
We see them coming into the center here. We start being able to see them even with our other units. Originally, I had feared that they were going to hop over the wall with stalkers.
But they didn't. Look at them.
Right here in the center.
Look at them. Just moving in out of position, too.
Some force fields. Go back away.
Yeah, they're very out of position right here. As you can see, Deathwraith now dropping down his force fields like he said he was doing. Now, with these force fields down, my roaches are moving in. They're backing off a little bit. The Immortal right behind me. Deathwraith backing up, me backing up. And as you can see, it's kind of just a kiting game right now. The force fields are now kind of done, and the roaches coming back in, and we're going to use this chokehold to our advantage. I'm getting some overlords over there, and a lot of people wonder why I'm putting overlords in danger. One of the things I like to do, especially when you get stalkers and marines like that, is because Deathwraith's forces, as you can see, we're just kind of waiting right here in the choke point. Not much going on, and the Terran's moving all the way back to the base.
Trouble because warp prisms showed up behind.
Behind
Token's wall and started pumping some stalkers and stuff.
But I had roaches there right away, which is good. I very good timing on, just luck timing on my part with those damn roaches. As you can see, I just kind of have him there, and he's just like Avita's Zen. So I'm going to keep some roaches in my back line. But as you can kind of see, the reason why I was trying to get into was the reason why I try to get my overlords to move in with that is simply when we're kind of afraid of the numbers game. We don't know if they have more than us or not. And at this point, we're just kind of clearing stuff out. I like to move some overlords in with that initial push just to kind of tank some damage away from the more important units. I know it's kind of dumb because it can't. Yeah, it's kind of hard because it can supply block you. But at the same time, if you really think about it, overlords, they can be replaced. They're a lot easier than getting out supply depots. Not necessarily pylons, but supply depots definitely. And it's really good to keep them away from those immortals because those immortals are just tanking those stalkers to such a great degree. So I'm going to keep keeping up the roach production. And at this point, it looks like I'm finally getting my second base saturated. I was kind of hit by that warp prison play, getting out a ton of overlords because I'm getting ready to push out units like no tomorrow. And I got a Hydraless Den because we need that much needed anti-air from me as well because you need versatility. And I'm sending out
at this point,
a drone.
We're pretty afraid of this warp prism, and it'll come to fruition as he starts warping in 3 more units right near Token spawn beacon, spawning pool.
Yeah, no,
he does cancel them though because he sees those forces are hungry for stalker.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just getting there, so you're a little bit ahead, but that's okay. Moving on in. Yeah, you can see he just cancels them. He's just like, yep, roaches, get GTFO. So I'm going to get some Hydralists in my back line too. And as you can see, his Warp Prism does a good job catching me trying to expand over here. So I want to move over here to Deathwraith because I don't think he's going to follow me. They're really trying to check this high grade, which the high grade is good to get, but where they've been attacking, it would really be disadvantageous at this point to take the high grade because it would really put us at a disadvantage. We're using this choke point to the best of our ability to make sure we're building up and teching up and outnumbering them.
At this point, we definitely need it. Thankfully, their armies are not joined at this point.
Yeah, no.
We get them to attack us here with the Marines Marauders. He backs off.
And what point are you at? I'm just getting to there.
Oh, it's 14 minutes right now.
Okay, pause. Real quick.
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys, because this kind of happens when you're doing scrubbing. We're still on faster, so I'm at the 1338. If you could tone back and come back to me, and we'll go through this.
You bet.
All right, so I'm at the 1338 mark looking at. I'm trying to get this expansion out, but I'm going to delay it a second. Reason being is this military is coming, and as you can see, it's a weird kind of split going on. I kind of have my troops a little out of position as well, which I don't really like to do. But as you can see, the Marines and Marauders is kind of coming at us by themselves. Deathwraith, where are you at
1400?
on the...
Where you at?
I'm at 1338.
Okay. I'll go back to 1338 then.
All right. And waiting for him to come up as we're seeing pause. As you can kind of see, we'll take a break to look at the map right now and the way things are going. As you can see, we're doing a really good job keeping with the expansions. And the good thing to expand early, even though you could get pushed, is we're using the map's terrain to our advantage. As you can see, they just got their expansion out. The Protoss just got one of his transferring probes right now. And Acid Rave has just gotten his second out. And he hasn't really built anything on his racks, so not really taking advantage of the ability to produce that he could be producing a far more amount. And as you can see, like Deathwraith and me both have near complete saturation on our seconds already. So looking at this battle, we're still in the clear. Even though if we lose these troops, we can resupply far faster than they can, because expand, you need to be reactive. So
you'll see that right at this point is where I start to get the Colossus, the extended thermal lance, and the ground one.
Yep.
I'm heavy tech at this point. I have a somewhat sizable but more specialized army than Token does.
Yep. And you at the 338?
Yes, sir.
1338. Let's do it and hit play. All right. So as you can see, we're gonna try and hit this high grade real quick, and then we see that the Marines and Riders are coming. So I make sure that I get in the front because my roaches can take a far more than. Wow, I don't know how to talk right now. I can take a lot more than Deathwraith can at this point. So my roaches are really out of position, but at this point, I only have a couple roaches. I'm basically covering his ass to the retreat. I want to make sure he gets them out.
The first stalker has come out of this.
Yep.
Almost done, and you will see it play a huge part in this upcoming battle.
Yep.
They're attacking the
Yep. I got the caller actually right here. I'm at the 1428 mark, and we see we're just wasting away at them. And then the Marines and Marauders, here we go. Trying to get my roaches. I don't have many up, but I'm trying to get them to the front because they're going to be running away from that colo. And as you can see, we got roaches, we got hydras going out. We'll just keep on pushing up. Yeah, trying to hit that colo is a dumb idea. You just mop them up.
Now, what saved us a bit here is the armies were split. We killed them one at a time. The Protoss came first, and then the Terran.
But not only that, we knew when to back away as well, because you need to know when to retreat and to use the terrain to your advantage. That's exactly what you're going to see a trend of us doing. We're pushing out, getting that map control, and we're going back. We're not pushing too far. And as you see, I'm sending in a couple roaches to check what's going out. And those sacrificial roaches, while it does suck, roaches aren't as expensive as stalkers or my hydras, so they're really kind of a nice fodder unit that we have right now to see what's going on and poke out. So I see that we're not going to be able to take that on right now, so we cut our losses and move on. And I drop down my third, and I start teching heavily and pumping out more hydras and more roaches. And the reason why I'm getting a little bit more hydras down is simply because I need to get some more range on all these immortals that we see Balco building. And as soon as we saw those immortals, we knew I had to get something light and fast to attack those. And moving on to Deathwraith.
I knew it was going to be a game of the immortals as well, and at this point, I believe, I start dropping down some more gateways because I only had 3 gateways in a robotic facility at this point.
Yeah, wow.
I'm floating a lot of money, and I can't spend it.
And you need to spend your money. The biggest thing that really hits newer players and scrubs like us, at sometimes even too, we had some problem today because we haven't played in like probably a month and a half, and it was kind of hitting us. Right. It was kind of hitting all of us a little bit today, was the fact that we weren't spending our econ wisely, and you need to be doing that. As you can see, I'm barely floating like 200 minerals and 500 gas at a time. Like, I am spending like mad, trying to just keep my Overlord production up, just keep my troop production up, and get these upgrades up, and trying to get this third down. And really, I should have had another hatchery at this point. Another thing that you want to really do when you do have an extra minerals like I do, we do have a big enough army where I could have taken some time to do this, and I do later, but I should have done it earlier, was get another hatchery just in your main, because hatcheries are how you produce, and you need to have as many as possible as Zerg. Outproduction is your ally. Back to Deathwraith.
Yeah, at this point, I couldn't quite understand why I wasn't able to build more units, you will see these 3 gateways over here are still gateways, not warp gates. I'm still continuing to tech up. I'm getting armor 1, but right now my heavy focus, you'll see I've dropped another robotics facility, is I'm getting those immortals, because what beats immortals? More immortals.
As you can see, the Protoss trying to push out a little bit here, not doing much though. And at this point, you can really kind of tell we've got the game in the bag. I mean, just look at the production tab that I have over here. I mean, we've got 3 to 4 things producing at once, and when we don't, I kind of slow down the queue and then pop it back up. So really just trying to outproduce him at this point. And the Terran's doing a lot of stuff, but he really just isn't utilizing his barracks. He still doesn't have anything on them. I don't understand it. And the Protoss, yeah.
55 is where I'm at. I must be playing a little bit faster. Their armies start attacking.
No, I see it.
Correct their mistake.
Yeah, no, we're really close in this recording. As you can see, they are pushing in. They're trying to push up, but I just sent some roaches out to see what we're dealing with. We see that we have the advantage, and that's when we push out. Just destroying them, trying to single target those immortals down for Deathwraith, just to make sure I get them. Yep.
All right, I'm paused.
I'm at 1925.
1930.
Okay, so we're really close.
Slightly. All right. Go ahead and play it up to 1925. Now, one thing that I want to check here, and Token can take you through it, is the upgrades on these units.
Yep.
Even if the army tab had been close, and we did have the numbers advantage here, if I'm not mistaken, we have a serious upgrade.
Yeah, I'm paused at 1925. I'm going to take a look at this. As you can see, I'm getting out missile attack level 2. My Hydras already have the range. My Roaches have not only speed, but the ability to burrow and move fast if I need it. And I also do have the burrow if just in case I need it. I'm really not using it now because we're getting attacked in bulk. I want to make sure that I'm using my Roaches to tank for Deathwraith's Kalos, because that's really their purpose right now, is to tank for the Hydras and the Kalos. So I'm really not burrowing them because I want to make sure they're taking that damage. And as you can see, yep, and I also have Carapace level 1.
The Hydras are very good against the Immortals because the Immortals can do 50 damage unupgraded shots to armored units, but Hydras aren't armored.
Yep,
and
we also
little fast shot will go right through the shields.
Yep, and also Deathwraith, a little bit of a flub on your part. You were trying to get that expansion out. He had outmined his first base because he was out producing. But as you can see with that production, even though we were trying to get those drones out, it's just because we were trapped in our base. He was going to move them out a little bit sooner.
You don't like my little cluster of drones here?
Well, no, I remember you were saying in the game you were trying to move them out, but we got hit, so you had to move them back. And one of the big things, too, as you can see, he's already got upgrades on all level 1s except for the shield. The shields are going down now, so you can see he's got full level 1 upgrades. Going over to our enemies, as you can see, like they only have armor 2 or armor 1 going down on the Protoss side. And the Terran, I'm not really... he's got attack 1 or infantry weapons 1, which is, I guess, okay. And he's getting siege, but he doesn't really have much of anything besides... He's got concussive shell, but I don't even really remember that many Marauders to really have it be a benefit. And he's only got 2 racks with tech labs, so really not utilizing this stuff.
When the Protoss here is making up mostly Immortals that you can see,
yeah,
Armor 1 is a very useless upgrade. Because Immortals, they focus on the shields. I still wouldn't upgrade the shields first, but the attack. When you upgrade their attack, it goes from 50 to 55, which can mean a bunch of difference. Do you want to go ahead and continue?
Yep. And ready and
play.
Go. And that difference, as you can see, is really important because if he had the attack upgrades, he might have been able to troop my Roaches, which were really kind of protecting Deathwraith at this point. So we're going to push them back, and as you can see, we're gonna play it safe. We're gonna back off, and the reason we're doing that is because Deathwraith needs to get this expansion down. So we know that if we push them up, if we for some reason fail, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. So we decided to play it safe, back up, keep our map control, and make sure Deathwraith has the time to do his probe transfer that he desperately needs to do. And I'm going to also start saturating my base and just keep reproducing. As you can see, I've got Roaches, Lings, and also I got Hydras at my base already. And just enough reinforcements to really outdo him. And it looks like you're getting some sentries.
We start to make sure that there aren't any expansions at this point. If we can maintain the econ advantage, because we have a slight army advantage at this point. Unless we fail to counter our enemy's units horribly.
Oh yeah, and as you can see, you're getting a lot more sentries out to try and give us those guardian shields and also those important force fields. One of the things that is usually forgotten end game with Protoss for some reason seems to be force field placement, but that can really save you, as force fields not only allow you to outrange your opponents at times, but also stop them from getting that important surround.
Or let you retreat.
Exactly. And as you can see, Deathwraith really hitting those minerals up there at his new base, trying to get that saturation. I'm also trying to start transferring some drones, but the reason I'm not transferring as many is because at this point I've got the amount of drones I really want off of my bases, and I'm concentrating more on getting maximum supply with military, because it's really more of a push and shove game, and we are making sure that we're shoving back harder than they can push.
At this point, I have a huge amount of minerals, and one thing that my army lacks at this point is mobility. So you'll see at this third base an obscene amount of turrets going down.
Yeah, I do.
If in the event they start to attack there, are those turrets going to stop their army? No, but what it's going to do is it's going to slow them down.
Yeah, buy you that time you need.
Slows them down, we'll have enough time to come and hit them.
Now, usually we don't over-obsess into turrets like that, but at this point we have such a big map control. The really big concern is protecting our hides and making sure they can't expand, which we're doing pretty well right now. They don't have any other expansions, but they're naturals.
We've got an attack coming here.
Yep, here we go.
I noticed that he's got Viking.
Yep.
His unit combination here, so I'm trying to get those stalkers down.
And as, yeah, you can also see my Hydra is doing some work as well, trying to hit, going in front, trying to tank as much damage away from those columns as possible.
Tear and through those immortals. My big Hydra are taking care of.
Oh yeah, just tear those immortals up. Really doing a good job on that too. And the great thing that a lot of people always forget is Kalos, they do a really good amount of damage against immortals as well. And as you can see, he's trying to resupply, but at this point, we're just like, fuck it. We've been pushing around for too long. We're done. We've got 3 base play. I've got another hatch going down for me, and it's time to push and finish this. So as you can see, I do some misclicks right here, rallying my troops, and the reason that is because I'm trying to re-rally all of these different troops at my base. I'm getting them over to where our army was, trying to
really
keep...
Token just wants to kill him with probes.
Yep. Yeah. Drones at this point.
Yeah.
And we hit these tanks up on the ridge. He did have tanks up there, but really just not able to do much with them. And this is where we split up. Reason being is we know they don't have much. We hit their army enough, and we're just going to divide and conquer. And even though Balco left and he's a Protoss, we're still going to keep hitting both of them because...
And you see Acid Rave here. I'm in to win.
Yeah, he's in to win. But the thing is you want to keep attacking both. It's just because you never know that we could concentrate on the one that's left, but he can still control all the Protoss' stuff. So you never really want to leave it up to chance. But at this point, it's really just a GG. I mean, look at my Roaches and Hydras that's going to that natural. Got some more Hydras on the way. Got some just Overlords just kind of chilling out. We're just like, okay, yeah, you can
Even if
you can do what you want.
Up there were controlled, there's such a huge number disadvantage. And you see they start to attack here. It's like... You can't even knock down, 5 or 6 Hydras. And
no, not at all. Yeah, as we're getting to that point, yeah, look at them hitting us and just trying. But, Hydras, it's not only that, I outranged them, and I got a lot of really light attacks. And not only that, Immortals are bonused against armored units. Hydras, of course, aren't armored, so they're just like, fuck your shit, I'm going to keep on going. And as you can see, I'm just tearing over here.
Lifted off for his but you'll watch this little Suicide Marine find my field.
Yeah, I haven't seen him
At
yet.
which point the Terran decides,
getting there.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, I'm getting there right now. We're going to watch this as I'm tearing through it up. Let's watch the little Marine. He's going to die. And he's just like, GTFO. And that's going to be the GG. And I don't even know why I have random drones over here. But that's going to be the... that was probably a misclick when I was trying to rally some troops. But that's a GG, guys, and that's how you really want to do a contain and a push and shove. It's okay if you get pushed first, just as long as you're using that push to your advantage. The one biggest asset that we had over them was we had the ability to produce far more because we expanded faster. And as you can see, it's very important for Zerg to expand. It is very important to Zerg to expand because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have been able to get Roaches out as fast in that mid-game to really back up Deathwraith's heavy units. And as you can see, the Deathwraith, I mean, those heavy units are really, really backed up by those Roaches, as you can see. It's phenomenal
composition. As long
composition.
as they have a meat wall in front of them, Colossi can do incredibly well if you put them up against opponents on their own. They'll melt just as fastly as they melt others. Now, two important advantages, now I think you'll agree with me on this, Token, that we had throughout this game was, in the early game, we did not have the army advantage at all.
No, not at all.
We used this choke point right here in the middle of our base. We forced them to come through that. We dropped a couple of force fields, so made it that so all their units couldn't attack at once. Also, we had vision. We knew when they were coming. We were able to set up and get ready for the attack. There was an exception over here down by the high grade near Token where we were kind of like, oh, what are those?
Yeah, that warp prism. Yeah, that kind of hit us, but we adapted to it. Because I had overlords around my base, and make sure before you get the Xel'Nagas, if you are a Zerg and you can float an overlord toward a ramp or a choke point or something like that to watch for attacks, make sure you do that. That early game overlord really did help us to see when they were pushing in and when they weren't. And that's something that would benefit. Even though if I had lost him, it would have kind of screwed me. But you saw I move him just to the edge of the ramp so they couldn't see him, and I could still get that vision. And troop production.
That was the GG.
Yeah, it was, man. And I think another big thing was troop production. I mean, one of the really good things about concentrating on after you do get some scouting, if I needed to, I could have just kept that push-up with Zerglings if I wanted to. But I really didn't have to. And the big thing is that tier 1.5 units are really good when they're bulked up. But the way we did it was we had a good composition because the Stalkers could get that early anti-air. My Roaches would tank in front in case they needed to take the damage so that he had time to take out air. And also those Immortals. And then we switched up. And you really want to make sure that you have a diverse cast of units. A Roach Hydra is an amazing composition to have as Zerg. And I know a lot of Zerg players are like, oh, I like to do Ling and Muta. Ling and Muta is great, but when you're in a 2v2 situation, one of the biggest things you have to take in mind is your partner. And with Roaches and Hydras, my Roaches can do all the tanking for Deathwraith, and I can have Hydras in the back because Protoss units are far more expensive and far more beneficial and stronger. So it's better to protect him because I'm all about re-upping my troops if they die, and I can do it faster than him, and he's all about punching with power.
Yeah, as long as I can keep those units back there, it's very important to have, range advantage, terrain advantage. Now, we didn't use any high terrain in this particular one, but we did use that choke point.
But anyway, guys, that's going to be the GG. Very, very good match, I felt. It was a lot of fun to play. We really did very well the entire way through. That's it for this episode of Scrubcraft. Hope you guys enjoyed it. There's going to be more 2v2s with Deathwraith. You can bet on that. And also we're going to have more 2v2s with the Stash Burn side. And also, we're going to have more Scrubcraft in general. Scrubcraft is kind of be a weekly thing. Going to try to get some 3v3 triple cast going. Also, I know one Prel, very, very good player of mine. Diamond League, he's Master League in a couple. Very good player. And he's really, really excited to actually join us in Token Gaijin Gaming to help us with the website and casting. So I'm really excited to get him out. So hopefully we're going to get some 4v4s out with him, I think, very, very soon. I'm kind of excited about that.
It'd be a good time.
Yeah, let's see what he's up to. But anyway, that's how we do it down in the Scrub League. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you're watching our games and seeing how us Scrubs can get along and play. 2v2 is all about teamwork, and as you can see, we did some good one right there. This is Token Gaijin signing out with Deathwraith.
Signing off.
And we'll see you all next time, nerds.